I'm Becca Viau, and I am a contemporary artist. And what do? I work with ideas and I create things. Well, it was high school. I think that the gem was really there, like that little spark was there. But I felt like it wasn't the right choice, or like the right choice. You know, if I wanted a career, I had to go to university, right? And even like college, when I was in high school, was still sort of like, to blue collar or something. So, but I loved art. Like art class was what I lived for. Maybe gym too, but that's because I like physical activity, and action. But it was in like grade 12 that I really toyed with the idea of going to art school. But unfortunately, I didn't. Or fortunately, I guess, like everybody has their own journeys, but I went to university instead. I got a scholarship to a university, and so I went there. And I did 3.5 years of sort of like a general arts degree at university. And in my third and a half year, I was like, what am I doing? Well, when I graduate with my anthropology degree, I probably won't have a job anyway. So I was like, screw this. I dropped out of university and transferred those credits to NASCAD. I was lucky enough to get in. And so I had already done 3.5 years at university and started another 4-year bachelor program in Halifax. I think that I was terrified, mostly because I had put restrictions on myself. Like I felt like it wasn't good enough, or that, people would judge me because I wouldn't be making the type of money that I could potentially with my skill or my potential. And I felt like people might judge me as an artist. I think because I was taught these stereotypes, not necessarily from my family, but just from society, that artists are sort of like freeloaders, or just don't have that same kind of like power, I guess. So, but then I was also surprised because my family and the people around me were like, well, duh, like you should have been in art school from the first place, probably. Didn't you go? And I was like, well, because you made me feel like I shouldn't. But that was just me making me feel that way, I think, So in high school, I kept myself sheltered, or I wanted to fit in the box, the everyday box that the restrictions that are put on us, that like you have to, if you're going to be an artist, you have to paint a certain way, or you have to color in the lines, or you have to be able to do the perfect self-portrait that looks exactly like you. So I think that I was too tight. I was too self-conscious. And so I needed to live more before I was even ready to like confront myself and the disorder that is like the disorderly existence that is like our identities, which is like combustible and like transformative and never stays the same. But it's so easy to live in an illusion that we don't change that often, and that we all fit in these nice little boxes, So when I think about it, university was challenging and expanded my mind enough that I was actually ready to take that step. Because art school is hard. I always say it chews you up and spits you out a new thing, a new person at the end. And maybe all university does that, but art's a little more about self-reflection and expression of that. So when you dig deep in yourself, it can be pretty hard. So I'm glad that I went to university before. And it also gave me a good foundation of knowledge before I moved into the conceptual art school, which is NASCAD. I think and I think a lot of people actually went into like year one with like big egos, like I've got talent, I got in, like I can draw really good, and then you start learning about visual culture and visual literacy, and learning the language of our objects and the imagination and expression, and how we communicate through that type of world outside of, language is involved there too, and then you're also confronted with all of the other students who all have a different hand, so like they all draw differently. So at first I was really discouraged. I can say like in my first year, my foundation year, I cried a lot. I didn't think I was supposed to be there. And really, it wasn't just the first year, it continued all through my undergrad. It was really difficult. But the lesson I learned in my undergrad is that being unique and different and having your own voice is actually really powerful and really important. Who doesn't want to like color all day, you know, and have someone love it and be moved to tears by it, you know? But I think when I got out, then you're confronted again with the reality that like, oh, you got to pay rent, you got to buy food, you got to, you know, you want to be accepted, right? You need to like find shows. How do you find a curator that's going to, you know, like your work? So I think you're thrust into the business after your undergrad or into the industry without much skill. So I didn't have that kind of business skill. Well, I moved back to PEI, and I mean, in Halifax, they have some really old, long-standing artist-run centers, which are like that bridge between sort of like student. They're like that emerging experimental category before you hit like professional, or I might even call it like uber professional, because professionals engage in artist-run centers too. So I had some experiences there about like what kind of supports and what kind of communities can be around artist-run centers, and there was none on PEI. So I remember looking at one of my teachers at NASCAD and being like, when I go back to PEI, I'm going to start an artist-run center. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. I just knew that I needed it in order to survive here as an artist. So I needed community. I needed to feel supported in being experimental and pushing boundaries. And I needed that contemporary discussion or lens to exist here so that I could continue to make my work. So when I came home, I immediately just was like, well, I don't really know what to do about business, but I do know that people talk about networking a lot. So I was like, I guess that means I just have to go to everything. So I did. I tried to get into every party, tried to go to every opening, tried to go to every film screening and just talk about every idea I possibly could have. People were probably like overwhelmed by me because I was probably like, wow, look at all this cool stuff I have in my brain, you know, like, let's talk about it, let's think about it. What do you think? You want to try? You want to take it? Okay, you take my idea, right? I still am like that. I'm not like tight on my ideas, and because I don't care if people take my ideas and do it. That's great. So that's what I started to do. And people were a little bit wary of me at first, but I think it's because people want to protect their ideas. They're afraid that people are going to steal them, but go ahead, steal my idea. I guess it's not stealing if I say it's okay, right? As long as if you're going to do it, then great, because I have a bazillion ideas, and they're all in my imagination, and it takes action to make them happen. So I came home and did that, and I connected with the Confederation Center Art Gallery, and the Confederation Center Art Gallery, and I applied for educator and outreach coordinator there, and that was sort of my first real hands-on, jump into the deep end of the pool for project management and in the arts, and that was a really good experience. Well, I think in high school, I would have told myself to chill out, and so like chill out and don't be afraid to take risks. You want to experiment because no one's perfect, and forcing yourself to be something or to make marks in a way that is really uncomfortable, unless you're trying to learn a new technique, you know, but like don't limit your expression, especially in high school. Like play and play and play and play and play and play, because now in my career, I call this place not my studio. If anybody talks to me outside of like the professional world, I'll say like, this is my playroom, and I need it. I need to play. If I don't play, then I start getting really cranky. And so, experiment more. And then further in my career, I think, it's still the same message. Like, let go. Like, let go of whatever expectations you have on how you think you should be in order to be successful. Because uniqueness is better in the end. And, I never thought I'd be making scribble drawings and being successful, or making weird videos with characters yelling into the forest, you know, like, what? Like in high school, I would have been like, you know, like I really didn't get my eye right on that self-portrait, and I would beat myself up over it, you know. It's just not worth it. You know, I learned at the Confederation Center of the Art that I do have some management skills, so that was good, and that I like fast-paced work environments if I'm going to work, you know, a regular job. I say regular job that has like some sort of steady paycheck, that you can like see, you know, I work hours and I get paid, you know, by someone else for those like work hours. So I continued with project management, and I developed This Town is Small. So we would host potlucks and dinners and parties, and the community would just come together and talk about the need for this type of thing and what kind of shape that might take. So Small Town happened. So I graduated from NASCAN in 2008. Small Town started in 2010. And in that period, I had worked at the Confed Center and was on my way out after Small Town started. And one of the reasons why I left the center is because I just don't work well confined to a 9-to-5 framework, with someone else sort of managing my schedule. So it became pretty obvious that, you know, I need to be my own boss. And so I am. And I mean, you know, Small Town has a board of directors, and I listen to them and they guide me through Small Town. But as an artist, I am my own boss. Awesome. Check. Happiness. Checkbox. Like, that's like the biggest one, right? To, you know, I worked as a bartender, and, you know, but that's fine because it's like hosting a party, and, you know, it was tiring, but it made me lots of money. And I was able to go back and get my master's, which was like, check, like up another level, you know, street cred enhanced, right? And got myself studio space outside of my house, which was a really big step. I still network like crazy because it's so important, and that's really how I feel like I have gotten doors open for me. I haven't actually had to force a door open or, you know, had to beg. It just through, I think, being dedicated to being an artist, just I think that's enough to be successful. Because if you're dedicated to be an artist, then you'll always find a way to make the work. And if you're good at networking and you're good at, even if it's not you that delivers the story to an audience or gets it out into the world, but you can find someone who can help you do that, then I really feel like that's what I did. Well, you need money because you need to pay your rent and you need to buy food. So those things are essential to your like existence, healthy existence. But, you know, like I got a job at the center teaching art and running outreach at an art gallery. Like that was a really good first step. But I realized that I wasn't very happy because the schedule just wasn't letting me be free enough to make my work. So, I mean, what did I ultimately learn from that was that, you know, if you're not happy, then does the money do? I mean, yes, I need rent and I need food, but, you know, I was much happier being a part-time bartender and making drawings and selling drawings and, you know, having art parties and, you know, making weird videos and reading, you know, expanding my knowledge instead of, you know, making better money somewhere else. So it's just finding that balance. Even still today, like I do project management and I run This Town is Small, and I just work enough to get by what I need to get by with. And then, basically, I guess like my work supplements my artwork. So it's not like my artwork supplements my income. It's like my artwork is like now my primary source of income. And, you know, my management supplements that. It's just that with artwork, the income can be sporadic. So And like you need time to make work. Like to make a drawing, I need to be in the right headspace, and I need to have space and time, and I need to be able to like, you know, have a coffee and sit and read a book for 2 hours and then draw, you know? So it takes space. If I'm not giving myself that time, then I'm not going to be drawing, which means that my commercial practice will slow down. And then the contemporary sort of like public work, like the gallery work that I do, the public gallery work or the public presentation stuff, like the stuff you'd see at the Confed Center or, you know, at that type of gallery, that can come in big sort of chunks and waves, and that really depends on like getting your proposals out and sort of the more business side, but also it's just having your work out there and having it be authentic in some sense. Because if you're not communicating something that's going to resonate with someone, then like a curator, then you're not going to get picked up for a show. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you need money, but you also need space to make good work, which takes time to think, time to read, time to research, time to play. Do you want to do something every week that makes you slightly uncomfortable with yourself? So like go into public with your face painted, you know, wear a cape, walk a silly walk, you know, one thing every week. Like if you are considering being an artist, then you're considering being a bit of an outsider. I mean, not all artists are outsiders, but I mean, you still are, sort of. You are a little strange. I mean, you don't fit the normal box, right? Like you don't fit the classic citizen definition. You know, I want to throw sparkles around, you know, that's fine. Like, that's okay. So yeah, do something that challenges yourself, like being comfortable in yourself, because you have to get used to that because it's challenging. And it's more than just making a beautiful painting. The kind of art that I do is more than just painting a landscape. That takes a lot of skill, and some people are driven to do that. But the kind of work that you know NASCAD can train you to do is the kind that makes your brain hurt and can make you cry, because you know we live in a capitalist society. You know, so if you're going to be able to like challenge yourself in that way, you may as well start in high school. Wear those crazy pants, you know. Stand up when someone bullies someone else for being different, because you're probably going to be that person later on in life. And also, so that's one skill, like dare to be different. It seems cliche, but it's so true. And you know, try to engage with the art world. So like go to gallery openings, go to artist talks. They happen in PEI, especially at the Confed Center, where they bring in artists from all across the world to talk and give panel discussions. Go to the Guild, go to EPTech, and then just seek out those cultural activities and just to see. And I mean, if you're really interested, reach out to someone that is an artist and ask them, talk to them. The great things about PI is intergenerational, because we're small enough, it's intergenerational, so there's multiple generations that go to lots of things. We're all sort of integrated together because we have to be. We can't segregate each other, you know, or segregate ourselves from different types of people, because we need each other here because we're a small community, and I think that's what's most powerful. I have a pretty cool job, you know, like I get to dress up in costume and get paid for it. I get to color and draw and play and have fun and get paid for it. And not only that, I just get to do it, you know, like it's my life choice. So if someone tells you that you can't do it, just paint your face and go dance somewhere. You will be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah.